Hi there, and welcome to my Itty Bitty Chapel. My name is Patty Chaffee, and I'm the community minister at Niantic Community Church. I'm also a spiritual director and an expressive arts facilitator. The Itty Bitty Chapel is a few moments offered midweek to relax, refresh, and reflect on a spiritual word or phrase. It's usually filmed in or near a sacred space within my home called the Itty Bitty Chapel, and our candle here is lit to remind us of the presence of Spirit within and around us. Our word for reflection today is presence. And if you're inclined and you'd like to light a candle in your sacred space during our time together, you can pause the video now. So I have an affirmations calendar that greets me every morning with a new thought about some aspect of life, published by Hay House. I saved most of them for my own future collage use, as well as making them available to participants in programs that I facilitate. But I set one aside recently for reasons I wasn't quite sure of at the time. It reads, "In this moment, all is well. There is nowhere I have to go and nothing I have to do." I thought, really? Could that be a possibility? It didn't feel familiar. Don't we always have places to go and people to see, things to accomplish? The words seemed very suspect. Like, what are you trying to say? And for the most part, I had a hard time getting my head around the idea. In this moment, all is well. There is nowhere I have to go and nothing I have to do. Could it be possible that at some moment in time that could be true? The bigger issue is that it's such a hard concept to grasp. It probably shouldn't be. There is always somewhere to go, always something waiting to be done, isn't there? How about in your life? Do you find that to be true? And in this moment, all is well? How could it be if we aren't racing off to the next thing awaiting our attention, the next place awaiting our arrival, the next person awaiting our help? This is an interesting concept, one, I guess, that invites us into the present. Father Thomas Keating said, "We all have the innate capacity to manifest God because we already are that image by virtue of being created." For some reason, I don't envision God racing around, multitasking, worrying about what's next, worrying about yesterday. When I envision God, there is always a sense of great presence, great attentiveness, a calmness, a centeredness. My God is always attentive to me and to you too. I wonder if we are attentive enough to God to notice with all our fussing and worry. Perhaps our challenge is to be present to God the way God is present to us. Father Thomas reminds us that we are already that image, yet sometimes something gets lost in the translation, doesn't it? Some time ago, an Itty Bitty Chapel viewer asked me about the orca art that hangs on the wall in my chapel. You'll see it hanging behind me. It has a story, and it seems fitting to share it with you now. I made it during an Expressive Arts Summer Institute program I did at Salve Regina University a few years back. It is actually a mask, and it's titled Presence. It is made out of assorted materials of fabric, mesh, tissue paper, shiny metallic and fuzzy shapes, scraps, etc., attached to a poster board, all representing the ocean. It is fragile, and I like having it there because it is a very special piece to me. Whales are my spirit animal. Orcas in particular, although I'm very fond of humpbacks and especially belugas. The whale spirit brings regeneration, new beginnings, and provides a sense of calm. Whales reintroduce us to our creative and intuitive energies, to show us talent we've forgotten about or haven't been aware existed. Whales ask us to recall our past and listen to its stories so we can creatively heal old wounds. This is what I've read about them. On the very last day of the Expressive Arts program, I awoke sick as a dog at the B&B where I was staying. We had left our masks overnight to dry at the Pell Center on campus where our program was being held. So I drove across town to our gathering place to let the instructors know I had to leave. I was dizzy and could hardly stand, although oddly fine to drive. It made no sense. I spoke with the instructor and said my goodbyes, stumbled to my car, and drove away. I was down the road a piece when I realized I'd left my mask inside the building. Now, knowing I'd never see it again, I turned around and went back, barely making my way into the building, and retrieved my mask. And then back to my car, and by the grace of God, drove home from Newport without incident, but still feeling sick. That mask was created as a response from a meditation and journaling exercise. This kind of creative work represents the power of creativity that affects our spirits, and upon reflection, they tell us stories. So often I'll do an experience, some kind of creative experience in a program I'm facilitating, and months, sometimes years later, someone will say, I still have that collage I made hung on my refrigerator or hung over my desk, and they're still reflecting on it. Our art teaches us so much. So that's the story of why presence is on the wall in the Itty Bitty Chapel and why it's so special to me. Each time I look at it, it reminds me to be present, to slow down, to give less power to yesterday and tomorrow, and to be the best God self I can be at this moment. That's all we have is this moment, to be present. I invite you to make some kind of creative experience for yourself to see what story unfolds. Remembering, in this moment, all is well. There is nowhere you have to go and nothing you have to do. I keep you in prayer every day of this very creative life. And if this message spoke to you in some way, feel free to share it with others. And until next time, may God bless you in every way you need. Namaste.